everybody, welcome to the 10 Laws Podcast with East Forest. I'm East Forest. It is the start of the new year, and I usually do an Ask Me Anything episode. Well, I should say I did one last year at the end of the year, and I wanted to do one this year, but it slipped away from me, so I thought I would just get that over with. Get this whole Ask Me Anything sort of thing over with, so it's the beginning of the year, and we're going to do it now. I only had a few questions from you guys, but we'll use this as a starting point. And some of these came in on social media and here and there. One of them was, how do you hold space during a mushroom journey at home? Like, what does it mean to be a qualified holder of space? Well, you know, one of the things I used to like about our fair man, Terence McKenna, he would say that all you need to do really is, you want to do the least amount that you need to do. So he says, if I'm in a room and I'm doing my journey and I have a little bell and I can ring that bell, and that's when the person who is, quote, holding the space pops their head in and they say, like, everything's cool. And you're like, okay, great. That's a bit of a joke, but truthfully, I think what it means to hold space, that is a term that is used a lot, maybe misused. You do want to do the least amount that you need to do. Like, it's important that you're not injecting sort of like your own stuff into that person's journey, and conversely, it's important that you're not taking on the stuff of that person's journey. So it's, on a most basic level, I think it's important to know a little bit about your own energy and a sense of like what is yours and what is someone else's, and sort of clearing your own space and just feeling centered, and you're not bringing more stuff in and you're not taking stuff out when you leave. Some people really think about that when they think about hosting journeys and so forth. Like, do I want to do that inside my home? And like, what am I bringing in? And do I want to clear the space when I'm done, whether I'm burning a little sage or Palo Santo or sort of an invocation to mark that space energetically, which is something I like to do personally. I kind of find a way to feel centered, with meditation, just kind of a way of kind of arriving at my own center. And when I'm in that space, it's a space that I feel like has more fortitude and truth, at which point I can give invocation with authority, the authority of being conscious, an incarnate human being. So in that space, you can say things like, this is my space. This space will not be infringed upon. These sorts of things matter. Again, this goes back to the idea that you have choice, and just like choosing that and making that statement out loud is extremely powerful. It matters even when you just do that internally in your mind. But it's even more powerful when it's externalized and vocalized in that way. And I think it would become even more powerful should you write it down or put it into action in some way. But anyway, just doing that is very powerful. You can also do some visualizations. I think I have a meditation. Well, I know I have a meditation that's in this podcast series. I think it's one, I should look this up, but it's earlier in the meditation. Scroll down there. It's about protection, a meditation for protection, I believe. And I go through another sort of visualization sometimes I do before journeys, where I'm sort of visualizing kind of a geometric architecture, or just sort of visualizing my own sense of that same centeredness, and I expand it out from my heart, and I visualize it getting larger and larger until it encompasses the other person or people, the whole room, the whole building, the whole property, and it's sort of like almost like a bubble of intentionality and choice and protection. Again, things that are traditionally used to clear space, like tobacco, sage, Palo Santo, there's many other things, but these also can work too. And if you're sort of also used to using these things in meditation beforehand, they also bring a sense of memory, that smell, which can be quite calming. But getting back to, how do you hold space I guess you're asking for someone else or for yourself. I think, so what I'm trying to say is you need to make sure you've taken care of your own shit and you're not bringing things in and you're also not inviting things in. You're sort of like protecting that space and clearing the space. Another way you can do that is I think it's important that the space is clean and beautiful. I think that creatively, but it's sort of the same energy, like what you're inviting in, let's call it spirit. And spirit, to me, likes to work, or it enters in through simplicity and beauty and clarity and cleanliness, and this cleanliness in the literal sense. Like when there's clutter, there's just a lot of things going on, and you want it to be able to speak through you. In the same way, when we're in meditation and stillness, it's easier to hear. I had this acting teacher, this Russian teacher, and the very first day of our class, we were nervous. We didn't know what to expect. He's a full-blooded Russian Stanislavski teacher, and he brought us an interpreter, and he walks in, and he just told us that we needed to make the room more beautiful, and he was going to leave and come back, and he left for like an hour, and we had to just clean and arrange the chairs like perfectly in the semicircle, just the perfect distances, so that everything was like the stage was literally set for us to now just be able to start. And I think that's a really great way to approach holding space. Clean the room, clear the clutter. We're doing that with our minds when you go into a dieta, which is the traditional diet that you do before some of these journeys, particularly with ayahuasca, but with any journey. It's a great way to say, really from the moment I decide to do it, the dieta begins, but it in sort of this knowledge that you're entering into that space in the future, and all of your choices and actions, they're kind of framed in that space. But certainly as you get closer, there are things you do with your body as a journeyer to clear out your body, the clutter in your body. So some people like to simplify their diets, or you can, cut out things like spicy foods and sugars and, of course, alcohol and other drugs, just literally cleaning out the system. It can be great to not experience orgasm. It'd be also, again, a sort of like holding on to your chi and your energetic state of your own body. And you just start to notice in a detoxification way what your desires are and also what's really happening. Like, am I feeling what I'm feeling because of what I ate, or is it actually percolating up because of something else? So again, you're setting the stage. But as far as who's qualified to do this, I would say anyone with an open heart and a sense of truth, which is all of us, is qualified. No one knows everything. No one is certainly about the psychedelic space. There are people who are more qualified than others, or have been into that space more than others, but no one knows everything about that space. So if anyone tells you they do, I would run, because they're really just there to witness you and make sure you don't get physically hurt by perhaps, in rare circumstances, you might not be in control of your body and just sort of almost like sleepwalking. You get up and you're like, I'm going outside, or I need to run across the room. And they could be like, not a good idea. Why don't you return back to where you started, because this is what you wanted to do, right? Sort of a reminder. Maybe you might want them to get you some water, or you're cold and they can get you a blanket. They sort of anticipate your needs, but again, they're doing the least amount that is needed so that you can have the journey that you're going to have, and you're not using them or anything else as a crutch in a sense. They're just there for when you need them. And it's also a wonderful sense of safety to think like, oh, there's a person here that's sort of rooted in that other form of consciousness, and they're here for me. That way you can feel safer to let go and have the experience that you need to have. But I have seen that with people who are inexperienced, they have a tendency to try to do too much. And they might feel that they're actually not doing anything, and that feels like I should be doing something. Just sitting there with loving awareness is amazing, and a lot. That is holding space, because you're seated in your own consciousness and you're present. So just being present with someone is a huge gift. As a matter of fact, that's a huge gift that we can give to anyone at any time. It may be the largest gift that you have is your presence. Where you point your attention, the gift to say, I'm going to ride out this journey with you and I'm here for you, is incredible. Of course, I think music is very helpful, and that's why I made the Music for Mushrooms a soundtrack for the Psychedelic Practitioner album, because the music itself, for the person who is in that state, can actually become the architecture that you are in, which, as you can imagine, is very powerful and influential to what you're experiencing. And so, they can monitor that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm giving you the perfect answer here. I'm kind of doing these off the cuff. But as far as how to hold space, there's some great books out there. Psychedelic Journeyer, the guy, Ram Dass, Timothy Leary wrote one. And there's some good stuff out there, but honestly, it's common sense, really. And it's just about being loving and being simplistic and setting the stage and being calm and helping the person feel safe and calm and chilling out. Let's see, what else? What is your most meaningful ritual or tradition? Well, that would have to be somewhere in between, lately at least, the coffee I make in the morning, how I do it, or vacillating to the other side, making sure that I am playing music. So, what does that mean? The coffee, when I make coffee in the morning, I like to do it a certain way, and I make a cup also for Radha. She typically is, I wake up before her, and I make it how she likes it, and I place it on the bedside while she's sleeping so she can have it when she wakes up. And I like this simple act of service in the morning to the person who is the most important to me, and really affects my consciousness in a great way. My relationship with this other person is quite intimate and involved. And we have many relationships in our lives, but typically what are the ones that are the most prominent in your life? They're the most effectual in a sense. So doing this ritual for myself and for her, beyond the fact that it's a drug and I enjoy having that little spark in the morning. I used to be a green tea man and a guayusa man, and then I'd kind of flip-flop with coffee. But lately, I've been really into a medium roast, mellow cup of coffee. And that's something about doing that in the morning and the way I grind it and put it in. It's quite, I like drip. I'm old school. It makes me feel, I like to have the time to do that. And I speak about in East Forest Ceremony all the kinds of rituals we have already in our lives, like these, or even brushing our teeth in a way. Writing a check is a ritual. There's many of them. And in a sense, the intentionality you bring to them can enliven them in a way. And when you bring that sense of attention and choice to it, you're like, what am I doing here? What do I want out of this? It can kind of supercharge it and wake you up even more. And, playing music for me is, honestly, it's important to me because it's more practical. One, it helps me do what I do, but two, it helps my mental health. And I know I've learned the hard way that I have to exercise that form of creativity one way or the other for me to feel okay as a human being. I've talked about this kind of thing before on the podcast, but it's really central. As human beings, we are unique in the fact that we can create. And I believe that when we don't create, we're stifling a form of sacred force that is meant to emanate from us. And that form of creativity can come in myriad ways. Anything from cooking to a good conversation to the things we classically think about, like making music or a sculpture, writing an essay or a novel, blah, blah, blah. But for instance, lately I've been doing a lot of construction. So the holidays is typically kind of a slow time in the music business, and I like to take that time to kind of take a breather, take a break. we certainly didn't take a break up until January or December 27th because we were releasing like remixes every couple weeks, and we did the Reworks album, and of course the Ram Dass stuff, and Ram Dass passing, and it was a very potent time. And then the New Year happened. Well, actually, like the day after Christmas, I just decided to start working on a sauna here at Radha's house. I like to build stuff. It's been a hobby of mine since I was a little kid, working with my dad and working with my old friend. When I was childhood friends with Matt, we'd build things in his barn, build rafts. That's a whole nother story. But I like to build, and I've also been, of course, working on the music studio here. And so I had two projects going on at once. And if I have any fault with building, it's that I can get kind of obsessed, and I won't stop until I'm done, which sounds like a good thing. It is good, but actually that determinism of mine is a problem of mine, and I can get a little bit obsessive. So I've been working because it was a little slower, and I was able to, and I had this time. For the last 2 weeks, I've been working every day on both of these projects, working almost all day, and then doing my work stuff at night. And it feels good to go out there and build. And what I like about it, it's actually quite similar to music. And the reason why it can fulfill me is because it's doing the same thing. I'm exercising that right brain creativity. And like music, I'm using the left brain part too, where you're problem solving, you're working with numbers, of course, with building. And it's kind of a left brain, right brain, whole brain activity, as is music. And there's something about those types of activities, at least for me. And I have a feeling this is a universal aspect for human beings. If you can find those traditions or rituals, I don't know if this is really answering your question, but this is where I'm going with it. I'm riffing. If you can find those traditions that incorporate all parts of your brain, or both parts, let's just look at it really simplistically, both parts, I think you'll find that to be very nourishing. Now, many of you probably do this, and maybe some of you haven't really thought about it that way. But for me, that really works. And I just finished the sauna tonight, actually. So it was 2 weeks. I worked only 2 weeks and got the damn thing done. I'm quite proud of that. Maybe I shouldn't be proud of that. Maybe I went a little too hard, too fast. But I got other things to do, people. I got to get ready for the Australia tour, and there's many, many things for me to do. In the studio, I've also been working on, and I got all the acoustical panels up. I built all of them. There's probably like 30 of them, and it looks beautiful in here. A little side note, I also got another piano. This is because I was at Lowe's buying some wood and stuff for these projects, and next door is a piano store, which is dangerous for me. And I walked in, and I always go to the used pianos in the back, and they had a really old used piano that typically I wouldn't be that interested in. Usually old isn't good. But they'd replaced the hammers with Steinway hammers, and they had new strings. Well, not new, but they replaced the strings since its original making. So it's basically like a Baldwin grand piano with Steinway hammers, and it was... Anyway, long story short, it ended up happening. That's being delivered tomorrow. So really curious where that's going to take me and what it sounds like when I put some mics on it and putting it into this space. It's sort of like discovered like this space here that I've been creating is basically, to me, a room for recording pianos and mixing music. And I mean, who knows what else, but that seems to be it's going to be its main purpose up front is I've never had like a proper space to record a piano or inside a studio like this, or I've gone to a studio and it's a short period of time, then I have to leave. The stuff I did like on the Held album and so forth, that was in my living room. And I've done lots of little things here and there, but I don't know. This will just be interesting to see where it takes me. So meaningful rituals and traditions, that's where I'm going to start for now. And as a matter of fact, like all the other like micro rituals in my day and our days, whether it's how often I like to exercise and sort of staying regimented with that, or what I like to eat sometimes for breakfast or this or that, These are all the forms of ritual, which is a kind of discipline that I think really behooves us. It really brings a sense of meaning and discipline as a way of recognizing your own choice and acknowledging it and saying, yes, I am choosing this. That kind of direct action is quite powerful. It takes us out of the dream of victimhood that we often feel we are in. And that is the disease of not having intention, is that you feel you are a victim, or you're not recognizing that you're not choosing anything, which can be choice can be devious. The obvious can be the most devious at times. Let's see. Another question was, this is a little different. Someone who got out of a long-term abusive relationship. Oh boy. How do I navigate the single life after being not in such a thing? Well, look, I'm not an expert in much of anything. So I'll do my best to answer this, but at the same time tell you I don't know. I mean, look, I left a long-term relationship. I wouldn't call it abusive. I was divorced a few years ago, and it was really hard. But I wasn't single for that long. I got together with Radha relatively quickly, and it saved my life, to be honest. And there were a lot of moments where I was really wanting to make sure that I wasn't using a new relationship to avoid some, pain in a way or growth that needed to happen. And I got a therapist, and I would talk to the therapist. And that's something I'd often put to him. I'd say, look, I need you to keep me honest. I need you to let me know my blind spots. And am I making a mistake here? Am I screwing anything up? Am I missing a big thing I need to learn? And something he told me was, he says, look, you can learn the lessons. You learn a lot of the lessons about relationship, obviously in relationship. And so you can learn it now or in relationship, or you could wait and not be in a relationship and you learn it later. So it's not a right or wrong, but as long as you're not using it as a way of avoidance and you're still doing your work on all the different levels of mourning and grief and questioning and anger and celebration and all these things that need to come up, are they coming up? So if you're navigating your single life, I would say make sure that the full tapestry of emotion that probably should be coming up, or I would say is likely to come up after leaving any relationship, including one that might have been troublesome, that could be used as a barometer to know if kind of like you're on your path. So if there isn't much emotion coming up, that might be a red flag. And you might want to have someone who could help you, if you can't do it yourself, a way to navigate that space and say, like, what is wanting to emerge, or why am I not accessing certain feelings? But assuming you are feeling the feels, you're just sort of saying, like, this is hard. How do I navigate doing something so different? I'm so reliant and so used to being with someone else. Or maybe, I don't know what your situation was. Maybe it's like, it's a relief. It's like I had this thing and I felt trapped, and now I'm out of that. I'm just acknowledging and witnessing that, yes, it is hard. And there's an old saying that time is the only healer. And what is true is that time will heal. It will get better. It will. It is getting better. Let me tell that to you. It is getting better. It's also hard. And it's getting better with every breath. You're doing it. You're still here. Sometimes just getting into presence, noticing the way the light is going across the wall, or just putting all of your attention on how the wind is hitting those leaves, or the way the pencil feels in your hand. Ways of acknowledging presence. And Look, you can do the obvious things that I think are very important, like exercise and eating well and sleeping well and having good community and friends and counsel. Taking care of yourself is important, and it's very important to set the stage for your body and your mind so they can do the work that it needs to do. I mean, God knows if you're getting drunk or getting high all the time or eating lots of sugar or staying up all night, it's not going to make things better. It really isn't. I mean, it's a spiral, and it's okay to feel sad and down. It's probably not okay to put gasoline on the fire. I've been there, and a lot of us have been there, and maybe you've been there too. So I'm just reminding you of that. But the word sad in Sanskrit, I've been told, means full, or it comes from the derivation of that word. So think of that, like when maybe you're feeling sad, and it's a way of saying, I'm feeling very full of life. Or perhaps you're feeling depressed, and in that word is encoded the idea that your spirit is actually depressed. It is pushed down. And it's like, how can I express my spirit? It goes back to these ideas of creativity and expression and that sense of the soul wanting to sing, of individuality. So navigating the single life is one of getting in touch with what your song is and what your voice is. So I'd recommend forms of creativity. But in that, it's also important not to isolate yourself. So it's important, if you have support, to lean on it, whether that's your family or your friends. If you have old friends even that you feel like they really understand you, but maybe you haven't spoken to them in a long time, reach out. Don't be embarrassed. Everyone likes to feel helpful. I mean, put yourself in someone else's shoes. If someone reached out to you and said, someone you haven't talked to in a year or 2 or 3 or 10, you're like, hey, what's going on? I'm really going through a hard time, and I would love your help. I'd love to just talk. And you're important to me, and I'd love to talk to you. I think you'd feel good. I'm saying the person that they're asking, you'd feel meaningful, and wow, I can help, and it feels good to help people. So don't be afraid to reach out. And I'm sorry if this answer is coming kind of late. You might have asked this a month ago or so, and I'm just getting into it now. But that's my 2 cents on navigating the single life, even though I haven't been single in a while. What do I know about single anything? Okay. I've got some really amazing podcasts coming up. I'm recording one starting tomorrow and several more this month before heading to Australia in February. So stay tuned for lots of interesting episodes this year. I'll continue with the conversations with people that basically I find interesting, and just these wonderful folks that come across my path. And I'll continue to do some meditations now and then, and continue to share music that feels like a good idea to share on this podcast. And feel free to give me any ideas or feedback at info@eastforest.org. And I really appreciate the reviews. The ones on Apple Podcasts, are easy for me to see and other people to see. I think it's about like 75% of people use Apple Podcasts to listen to this podcast. So it's an important place for you guys to leave a review. And some of you have done it more than once, which is awesome. And there's one here from, Banana Mints on December 29th. I love your music and the podcast. Thank you. You're welcome. You can also just hit the little 5 stars there and do that, or sharing the podcast on social media or a clip. All that stuff is great, and I love it. And it's a wonderful way for new people to discover our community and this work. And I really just want East Forest to be a nexus point of ideas that people can come to, and we can all learn more and meet new interesting people, have new amazing experiences, and hopefully increase that inner fortitude and resolve, get some rejuvenation, some clarity, so that we can step forward in our lives from the inside out and do what we need to do here, do what we're doing. So Australia, just want to end this by saying, as we know, I'm recording this on January 7th, 2020. It's on fire. And I'm heading there in about a month, a little less than a month. And I'm keeping an eye on it, and I'm well aware that you guys are going through some really intense transformation and process that's complex and devastating, both for the people, the animals, for the landscape. And my heart goes out to you. So, my mind, of course, goes right to like, oh, can I still go? And how do I navigate this space? And then my heart says, you know, there's nothing more important in these times of when people are going through, communities are going through that kind of challenge, to do something like a ceremony concert where we do have a chance to not neglect our inner state and to recharge and have a little bit of space there to say, what is speaking to me? Who am I? And how do I want to move forward? It's space to be heard, space to listen to yourself and to honor and have a ritual of what is happening down there. And I'm not going to pretend I know everything that's happening down there. I really am only getting the cliff notes from some folks who are there and the news and pictures. But I can tell that it's a big deal. And so I'm coming there in an act of service. And I will only not come there if I can't come there. But as of now, I can. And I think there's no reason why I won't be able to. And I'll do my best to offer what we have to offer. And for whoever would like to come, it's a space, I hope, for you guys to recharge a little bit and to mourn and to rebuild. Out of these ashes can come something new. I don't know what that is, and I'm not there to make it, but I'm just there to help and lend a hand to till the soil and so forth. So anyway, sorry, so much of that stuff. It's awful. I saw these pictures of these animals, all these different pictures of animals that have either running from fire, or there was like this horrible kangaroo that was like looking at its burned hands. And I was just like, oh my God, it's just too much. It's too much. But my consciousness is on it because I feel connected in the sense that like there's a magnetism of the fact that I'm going there soon. So I'm with you in spirit and will be with you in body soon. So you guys keep walking your walk. Don't take any shit, but if you do, please do it with grace.